Well, hello there, world changers. I hope you're enjoying your summer. I have a great summer deal. So many of my clients have just enjoyed and gotten so much revelation and movement and amazing breakthrough in their sessions with me that I decided to throw in a bonus fourth session with any 3-session package. So that includes activations, lie busting, business coaching, whatever you need to pull down from heaven, let's do it together. So just go to spiritcenteredbusiness.com and go to either the coaching or the lie busting or the healing and get your 3-session package, and I will throw in the 4th session for you. All right, enjoy the rest of your summer. See you again.
Welcome to the Spirit-Centered Business Podcast, where we blend the spiritual with the practical for supernatural results. Now, here is your host, Bralynn Newby.
Hello there. Welcome to Spirit-Centered Business. I have a fun guest for us today. His name is Mark Scherer from Encompass Life, and he does some cool quantum stuff that you guys are going to love to hear about. So welcome to the show, Mark.
Thank you, Bralynn. Glad to be here.
Awesome. So first of all, let's hear about your story and how you're weaving your spirituality into what you do and getting out of you said Catholic box. I usually say Christian box, but you specifically said Catholic. So let's hear that story first, and then we'll go into exactly what you're doing.
Cool. Yeah, I was raised Catholic. I went to a Catholic school. My parents were, I guess if I was to describe their religion, it would be something like maybe like Pentecostal Catholic.
Okay.
So it was like over the top restrictive.
Oh.
And a lot of rules, a lot of like things that just didn't make a lot of sense to me. And I knew it from a very early age. When I was in Catholic school, we had a class called guidance, and it was like a religious class. And so we would choose to remember, but we would like have lectures and write papers and stuff. And whenever I would write papers in those classes, the teacher would go, "Man, you have tremendous religious insight. Like, would you like to become a priest or something?" And I was like, "No, I like girls, So, but and I remember they would ask me, they would be talking about stuff, and I'd ask them a question. You go, "You can't ask that question." I go, "Why can't I ask that question?" "You can't ask that question either." "Well, why can't I?" You just got to believe what we tell you. Believe you got to have faith, and that didn't make any sense to me at all. So I had a lot of questions and nobody would answer, and rather than answering, they would just cover it up and get defensive. So I kind of rebelled from all that, and kind of went off on a wild tangent, rebelling against my parents, rebelling against what I was taught God was, and that didn't make. It was like God was like a neurotic Santa Claus.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna get coal for Christmas. I mean, like, but instead of getting coal, you go where they make the coal.
Oh, yeah.
So it was weird. Like that didn't resonate to me with how God was, but I didn't have any other frame of reference. So my parents used to quote or would say, "Well, this such and such is in the Bible," and I didn't know whether it was or not because I didn't read the Bible. They didn't either. They just heard the priest had told them things. So I read the Bible so I could win arguments against my parents. Basically, they would say, "This is in the Bible." I said, "No, it's not. Actually, it says this, this, and this." So I read the Bible, but it didn't go in. It was just a bunch of words to me that I was memorizing and I could do to be smart. But there's a lot of phrases that stuck with me. And after I got done rebelling, I was able to start hearing what those phrases actually meant. I started taking some other classes. I started to, instead of having the scriptures live up here in my head and be able to quote it, they begin to come into my body and make sense inside my body. I begin to feel, which was really, really big for me because growing up, I had a lot of pain as a child. So I learned to shut off my feelings.
Physical pain or emotional or both?
Yep, both.
Yeah.
I had a speech impediment growing up. So as an early adult or early kid, and if I said a word incorrectly, I would get hit for that or yelled at. So my speech impediment turned into a stuttering issue. I was terrified to speak in front of a group. I
No.
mean, like sweat through a shirt kind of a deal.
Wow.
When I found this system about 15 years ago, I went from a stutterer to clear speech in under 5 minutes. So
Wow.
that's really, I was really impressed with all that.
Mhm.
And then, my dad was a big into corporal punishment. And I remember I was probably, I remember like maybe 11, 12 years, 11, 10, 11 years, 10, 11, 12 years old. I remember I was getting a spanking for something. And I just remember going, I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of crying anymore. And I just turned my body to stone, basically. And I could hear it, I could sort of feel it, but it quit hurting.
Mm.
And so that's how I just armored up. And I armored up so much I didn't like it let anybody in. I didn't even know how to hug for decades.
Wow.
It was weird.
Wow.
Um, so all that pain I had, for the first 50 years of my life happened to me. And I was pissed at God and pissed at my parents and pissed at my dad. I was pissed, you know. And when I found this system and I started to wake up about how life really works, I began to see the beauty in everything. And
Mhm.
I began to realize that, oh my gosh, what I went through as a kid, what I thought was my weakness was actually inherently my greatest strength in it and what I'm actually here to do. So I couldn't speak in front of a group of people. And
Mhm.
by the way, I couldn't say the word love, and I definitely didn't like saying the word God.
Mm.
So now I'm 64 and I've been doing this for about 15 years. And now I get in front of groups of people and I have them wake up to the power of love. I speak about love and what love and have not just speak about it, but what people can actually have an experience with it.
Mhm.
And once they have experience with it, like all that pain from all the stuff just disappears. It gets transformed really quickly.
Mhm.
And I know that sounds like a big deal for people who've done therapy for years or something, but um, it works. It works so quickly. The power of love is an amazing thing, and the person has to have experience with it. And once they do, it's a visceral experience. And when they do, everything in their life changes instantaneously.
That's so good. So good. So so now, I mean, you've mentioned the system a couple times, and we're going to get there. We
Mhm.
promise, audience, we're going to get there. This is going to be awesome. You're going to love it. But I want to know a little bit more about how your faith informed the finding or the developing of the system that you're talking about.
What do you mean? My faith?
Your
Uh,
how did your faith in God kind of
well, I
drive you?
rebelled so much, so I went to kind of a dark dark place. I did drugs, did alcohol and started drinking at age 13. I drank for 37
Oh
years.
my gosh. Oh my gosh. Wow. I
Yep,
didn't. Mm.
yep. And I mean, not like every day or, but I could go out and have a drink or not go out and have a drink or go out and have 30 drinks. I mean, that type of stuff. Remember I told you I had kind of numbed out. So for me to really feel the effects of alcohol, it was somewhere around 6 drinks an hour to feel the effects of it.
Wow.
So anyway, but my faith, remember I told you I've read scripture. So there was things like these things and greater things you should do.
Mhm.
Life and death exists in the power of the tongue. By your words, you're justified. By your words, you're condemned. I mean, there was different Bible phrases that were stuck in my noggin. I
Mhm.
mean, they were lodged in there. And, I heard them. I studied conscious from a lot of different teachers.
Mhm.
Um, but it was all a mental thing until um, I had a really severe accident and was in the pain level went way up. And in that pain was where I finally found God.
Okay.
and and the pain was so encompassing, encompass life, but it was so encompassing that as the pain began to leave, I noticed I started to be able to have space in my thoughts. You know, like it was like I couldn't walk. I mean, so really had a severe accident, and I healed everything holistically, by the way. But it was so encompassing that as it left, I started to be able to notice I could start to choose my thoughts. And I also noticed I could, and this may sound weird, but I could shake somebody's hand and all of a sudden get a movie of what happened in their childhood. And
Wow.
my intuition just started to skyrocket as the pain began to subside. I started become way more aware. And I believe this information is always here. In fact, in Compass Life, we actually, in our school, we actually train people to awaken their intuition to this level.
So you're tapping in
Yep,
to what's already there.
yep,
Yep.
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 Most people are just listening to the 15 different radio stations and they can't hear the quiet whisper, you know. So, but it's in that peace and silence you can really hear and trust God. I mean, it's a different. When it first started happening, it was happening kind of by chance, and as I started to get into it, you know, it was people go, "Hey, how are you doing what you're doing?" And I was like, "I don't know. I think I'm just cool." You know, like I didn't like, and I heard the "I don't know" thing, and I went, "Oh, there's that little sneaky I don't know thing." And so I choose to know. What am I doing here? And I really believe, ask and you shall receive. I believe that is a verbatim promise. Most people just ask really stupid questions and then they hate the responses they get. Why am I such a screw up? Why is life so hard? Why can't I do anything right? And then they get blasted with all these voices in their head they hate. So
that's so true, Mark.
so start, you know, be careful what you ask for.
Yeah, really good. So you started hearing this still small voice. Your, let's call it anointing, I don't know, gifting, whatever, started to get unveiled, and you opened up to the possibilities now of who you truly are and the authority you truly have on the earth. Maybe you didn't frame it up that way, but that's what was happening, right? The spirit realm and your spirit connected to God the Father, infinite source of possibility, started just playing out for you. And then what?
Yeah, and it's so I started in Compass Life, which is a university to train people in this. I had a lot of clients who were working with me just by word of mouth. I didn't have a website or nothing. I mean, I would work with somebody. They would come in with a bunch of health issues or something, and maybe a session or two, they would heal. You know, they'd be off all their meds and stuff.
So let's back up a second here, because did you have to design a system? Did you get a download about what is the process? Or
so I studied with a couple different teachers. The bones, well, the bones of this system came from several different modalities, but then there was things in the modalities I studied that I could tell were amiss. Like I could feel like they felt weird. So everything that felt weird, I sat down and had prayed, and then got new insights, new upgrades with it.
Okay.
So yep. So there was I'm working with some of the bones of this, with some other teachers. However, I've made the system my own. And you know, where were we here?
Well, I'm just trying to figure out how you came to the system, but that's a beautiful way that you described it. Is you gleaned from other sources, and where something didn't feel quite right, you said, okay, Lord, what do you say about this? And so it became your own.
Yeah, and I studied with one guy about maybe 10 years or so, but there was a lot of things that felt really weird.
Oh yeah.
And so I left, and I really desired to work with them, and just I didn't want to do all this, build this whole company and everything. I was like, let me work with somebody else instead of building all this over here. But there was too many things that were going like, there's something up here. So was having insights of ways to work with people that were different. And I left there, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. And like when I left, I said, God, there's got to be a way to bring this to the planet that's perfect for me. Not look at what everybody else is doing, but there's got to be a way that's perfect for me. So then, of course, God speaks to me. What I believe God speaks to us in painful moments. Cool. You desire to find something that's perfect for you. Here's some pain that you will find your lesson in your pain. You'll go through this pain, find your way through it, and then you're going to have a skill set that you didn't have before you went through the pain. And have you ever heard the term "holy shit"?
They don't exactly go together, but people say it.
Yeah, but I believe, like, here's a big pile of crap all in your life, in my life. Go and find it, because you're going to find a gold nugget inside it. The bigger the pile, the bigger the nugget. So, I certainly didn't have that attitude for the first 50 years, but once I started to find these nuggets in all this pain, I was like, oh my God, God is giving me messages in a way that wake my butt up, man. That's so cool. And everyone's pain, if with this system, everyone's pain, they can find the gold nugget. And when they find the gold nugget, rather than just forgiving someone for that pain, that forgiveness is cool. But instead of just forgiving somebody, they will go, oh my God, thank you so much for this experience, because I began to experience how powerful and wonderful love really is, because they're going to find love right in the middle of that pain. The only thing that's going to heal that pain is God's love. And then if they can touch it, and we have this real cool little exercise we do, and once they find it, and they're changed. And I've worked with people who've been involved with MK Ultra, satanic ritual abuse, some horrendous stuff. I mean, I thought my childhood was tough until I started hearing some of these stories. And even all those people terrible stuff, they've all were able to do this and put themselves back together in 20, 30 minutes, like sometime in a session. And that's where I found the tool, was working with people that I didn't have a clue of how to work with.
And how much prayer or seeking the Lord is in that moment? Because he can heal us in a moment, and which is typically what happens when I work with my clients too. Is like, wow, one minute it's there, and the next minute it's not.
Yeah. How much you said the Lord, you said, or what did you say?
How much of the Lord, how much seeking the Lord or asking Jesus about the answers to the questions? Or
so a lot. Short answer, but I used to do meditation, so I would sit down and do meditation a lot, and a lot of our clients do meditation, or we're doing meditation for hours of the day and going into that prayer state. And what we do here now is, my day is like a walking prayer, where I'm in contemplation throughout the day, so I'm in communication. And it talks about the Holy Spirit. In the Christian vernacular, there's God the Father, the Holy Spirit, and Jesus. And we're open to all faiths, so I will bring the Christian words into it sometimes, but we do it a lot of time. I'll do it without saying the word God, because a lot of people have a charge for God, So
Sure.
I'll say, how about capital L love or capital L life? But
sure.
So this the Holy Spirit, or this wisdom, comes through us. As long as I'll take it personal, as long as I'm not judging the situation, as long as I don't put any judgment on the situation, then I stay in this place of intuition and wisdom. If I put judgment on the situation, like one of the ladies I worked with was given LSD and gang raped at age 6. Well, I couldn't help her, because one, I was like, let's go talk to the cops, let's go, and then we already did that. And I go, well, I'm a redneck from South Texas, I can shoot pretty well. I said, all right, let's go take some of these guys out, for real. That's the thoughts that started coming through my head. I was like pissed,
Sure.
How dare somebody do that to a little 6-year-old? no, like no, no, and no, but I couldn't help her when I had that judgment going on.
Mm.
So I had to like let the judgment go and then start asking her and just take a breath and just having questions start coming through me. And that's where this process came to, where I got those tools to be able to, where that person actually thanked the people for her experience, but she found how big and powerful her love really was, because her love healed that little girl inside of herself in 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
so good.
so it's a systemized contemplation where the Holy Spirit or intuition or wisdom is just present throughout your daily life. It's way different than the way I used to do it and have it happen by chance. So, that making
Right.
sense?
Yeah. Well, I just want to point this out to the audience, because a lot of you guys are business owners. And did you hear how Mark took what he learned from the world and then made it his own and applied it to himself, and then was helping others? I mean, that's like an awesome model for creating a business model, especially if you're a coach, which a lot of my clients and audience are. To not just mimic someone else, but really search your own destiny scroll and what have you been through in the past. And I just want you guys to make sure that you hear that lesson that Mark is saying, like the stuff, that pile of crap that he had in the past became his, where he could find that gold nugget and bring that into the future. And now he's changing other people's lives. So I just,
and ask God, like, what's my perfect mission?
right.
What's perfect for me? And you'll get the answer very quickly. It may not come in a way you like, but that means you're here for something really, really special. If it comes in a way that's producing pain in your life, that's a very special message. When somebody has a lot of pain, they have chosen the fast track for spiritual development.
That's a good way to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Not that God puts you in pain on purpose, but he uses the things that happen to you. Some things are allowed because he knows that you're going to be better on the other side.
Yeah, the pain. What I refer to is, there was master sword makers. That's like the samurai sword. They took swords and they folded the steel, and they folded the steel, and they folded the steel, and they folded the steel. Tempered it, folded it, tempered it, folded it. And what they found was the master sword makers, when they took their look at the steel underneath an electron microscope, the molecules in the master swords were formed on a grid pattern. They began to organize themselves to where they formed in a grid, and the molecules that were the swords that were this grid pattern, they could cut through a sort of disarray molecules.
Mm.
So as you begin to temper yourself and fold yourself, go through the pain, go through the fire, you're getting a sharper and sharper and sharper edge, and this edge is where truth exists.
Oh,
It is the edge. It is the edge of truth, and it will be able to cut through this matrix of lies.
mm-hmm. Wow, that is so good. So were there any other well, first of all, where did you go? You said you started your company about 6 years ago after having worked with one of the other people in this field. Was there any other corporate kind of experience that led you to decide, I need to either get out of corporate, or I want to create my own corporate, or
Yeah, I have worked with numerous corporations. I've worked with Whole Foods. Whole Foods were sending me their like mid-level managers they couldn't turn. They were going to fire them, who'd gone through the HR department. But to fire somebody, $60, $70, $80,000 to fire somebody and train a replacement. So they would get maybe 3 to 5 sessions with me, and I had 100% success ratio in turning their people that they couldn't turn. Which I said, give me the people you can't work with. I'll work with them. So I was doing that for a while, and also worked with a national credit union. And it was interesting because I was starting working with the National Credit Union, and they were desiring me to go work with all their credit unions throughout the U.S. And I said, no. I just started my company, and I was start putting the university in place. And I was training at the university. And I could have wanted out and done like a one-off person to do this. I said, no, I'm going to get my university up and running, and I'll be back. So that was about probably 4 years ago, and I'm so glad, because COVID hit right, right, yeah. So that would have been a fiasco. They would have shut all that down. In fact, they did shut all that down. So yeah, so I'm just going with what I get told to do, and creating a system where, instead of it just being me, there's 20, 30, 40 coaches who are doing the same system and bringing it out to the planet.
Yeah, multiplication. Love
Yep.
that. That's a great
Elevate and delegate.
Oh, I love it. Awesome. Okay. Any other points of your journey that you feel are really important to, like, share who you are? Yeah.
Let's have a little conversation about love.
Okay.
I thought I knew what love was. Thought I knew. Boy, oh boy, was that back asswards, pardon me, but that way backwards. And what I thought was love was shopping lists and tit for tat. And what I mean by that is, well, they didn't do this, so I'm not going to do that. Well, I have a check box. I have a box of checks right here. I like this. Here's I like this. I don't like this. Here's I like this. I don't like this. Here I like. And I had a whole list of things, and I would weigh the things I liked to the things I didn't like. Well, that's not love. So, and here I am doing all these classes, but my experience of love growing up was pretty dysfunctional. And so I'm dating somebody who's really different than anybody I dated before, the most sane woman I've met. And I'm still running even though I'm doing all this stuff, I'm still running the tit for tat and the shopping list love on them. And it was painful for her. It was painful for me. And so one day she was like, this isn't working. And her way of handling things was holding it in. And I was sitting there going, well, I can't believe she's holding it in. How could she be holding all this stuff in? And I was making that mean like she wasn't the perfect person for me because she was holding everything in. And one day she let me have it. I mean, she told me like this, blah, blah, like this about you and this about you, and I went, oh my God, this is the best day of my life. We're finally communicating. Thank you so much. And she goes, yeah, right, whatever. And I'm out of here. And I went, no, please, let's stay. Let's get it worked out. She goes, nope, I'm out of here. And I went, oh, I got a little pissy about that. And then when she was leaving, I said, you know what? I said, no matter what, I said, I really, really, really love you. And I said those words with no expectations and no anything in nothing besides, I really, really love you. And as soon as I said it and really felt it, everything that was pissing me off turned into endearing in an instant. And I just went, what the heck just happened here? That was and then I realized, I would tell somebody I loved them, and if they tell me they love me back, I would make them wrong. When I just told you I love you, of course you tell me you love me back. That wasn't love. That was that tit for tat thing. And all of a sudden I woke up and I went, oh my God, when I tell somebody I love them, it's not for them whether they receive it or not. It has nothing to do with anything. Whenever I tell somebody I love them, I'm the one that's experiencing love. I'm the one that's feeling love. Whether they receive it or not, that's entirely up to them. And it changed everything in my relationship to love. And I just went, oh my God. Bawling,
Wow.
Yeah, it still is. I mean, because sometimes I could feel that tit for tat thing come up, like, shut up, shut up, get out of here,
Yeah.
But to me, just to freely be free to just freely love. You used to tell, love you, like that. Oh man, that is disgusting now. I would never do that now.
Wow. That is so good. I'm sure you've got a lot more to teach on that.
Yeah. I'll do relationship classes. We have a thing called Relationship ICU. We're putting that together. So for couples who are desiring to take the relationship to the next level or worried about where they're going to go with it and all that stuff, it's fast, fun, and easy.
Wow. So did you work that knowledge or that understanding of love in at the beginning, or is that something that came later?
This was something that came in the last several years of my life. So probably in the last 3 or 4 years is when that distinction came in.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. Um, and God, I'm glad it did. I mean, what
Yeah.
a shift. I mean, so much happier.
Yeah.
And and the person is too, and we get along great. And she was one of we work together. She's a top coach, and we're doing the company together. And I mean, even when we weren't dating, our it was so beautiful because our commitment for for what we're doing here in the company maintained. We're still doing classes together, still traveling together, and I was like, man, this is amazing to have somebody who's matching that commitment with me. I mean, matching it and leading with it. So it was really, really beautiful.
Wow. Yeah, that is so good. So there's still a missing piece for me. What did you go to college for?
Engineering.
Okay, so it's totally different. I know much. Did you ever work in engineering?
No, I did work for a chemical plant for a number of years, and I was co-oping and working at a chemical plant, and I was like, what am I doing here? Because like no, it wasn't what I chose to do in my life, and it was what my parents chose me to do. So we'll pay for your tuition, but you got to become a chemical engineer. I mean, no, I'm a little different person. You can tell I'm a little different personality than an engineer.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I worked with a lot of engineers. They're not exactly the love-based
No,
feelings kind of people. Oh my gosh. So was it that accident then that shifted you, or what was the shift?
yeah, the accident really got my attention. And I was, even though I've been studying conscious for the last 35 years, it was like everything I was doing was more mental, and I was having some breakthroughs and producing some results for my businesses.
Mhm.
But I still had a lot of anger and resentment inside me. I had a lot of health issues. I
Mm,
think I mentioned to you when we spoke last time, I wore glasses for 37 years. I took allergy medicine for 30 plus years. I had skin conditions the doctors couldn't heal. I had ruptured disc in my back, frozen shoulders, taking pills to sleep at night, drugs and alcohol for a number of decades, and I had an accident, and then that I had an embezzlement in my one of my companies that I lost like 95% of my wealth in 120 days.
oh my
So
gosh.
so you know it kind of and I didn't like who am I going to be without this company? Who am I going to be without the big house or the boats and the this and like like and I hated what I was doing. I hated myself, and no matter what I had, it wasn't enough. I wasn't fulfilled.
So you weren't working with the Lord very closely during
No,
that time.
no,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was using consciousness to produce results, but
Mm,
I still wasn't happy.
yeah. So did you work with some of the big names like I studied, like back in the day,
I've done
let's
some Robin stuff, and
Deepak Chopra and
yeah,
Wayne
yeah,
Dyer and
and who's
Jim Rohn and
yeah,
Dennis.
who's the other guy? Gary Zukov, and
Yeah.
uh,
Okay.
uh, who's it? The German guy. To remember. You know,
Yeah.
and I did some stuff with Martin Sage. I did stuff with Landmark. I did stuff with Avatar. I did stuff with a lot of stuff. I did stuff with a guy by the name of one of Fernando Flores' proteges. Studied with one of his proteges. He wrote a book called Language and the Pursuit of Happiness. So
Mm,
I studied with him for a while.
mhm.
Um, and then I did some stuff with some other people as well.
Yeah. So you noticed, in those circles, there's a lot of, I don't know, Eastern religion, New Agey kind of stuff.
Mm,
A lot of humanist kind of things in there, which is, as long as you don't make it a religion, you can still learn things from it, and
yeah,
which is what you did, right?
yeah,
You
right.
yeah.
Yeah,
Ate the meat and spit out the bones, right?
Yeah, correct. And it was a lot of I mean, all religions, they have some truths,
Sure.
the truths in them. And
Sure.
then a lot of the religious stuff brings up a lot of dogma that they use to separate people. So a lot of the things we do here is there's a lot of Christianity based to it. It's all scriptures. In fact, one of our classes called the basics. It's all about basic spiritual, you can say spiritual law, but rather than saying spiritual laws, we call it promises God makes to us.
Yeah.
Because spiritual law kind of sounds,
yeah, people don't understand it.
Yep. And so here's some promises God's made to us.
I love that.
And and once people begin to understand and trust God's promises, their relationship to God changes. That's what the results we're producing. They sound pretty wild because they're fast, but what we're doing is the person is actually changing their relationship to God, and as they change their relationship to God, which is life, all things in their life will change simultaneously and exponentially.
I want to just stop right there. Isn't that an awesome cliffhanger to end this segment?
Yeah,
you've got to come back next week to hear about this.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's leave it at that. And then, so in the next segment, we'll get into some of the testimonies and the stories and more about the system and the process of Encompass Life. But right now, people can go to encompasslife.com. Is that correct? To get more information. Do you have anything coming up that you want to promote?
Yeah, we have actually got a class coming this weekend in Houston. And then we're going to be in Ocala, Florida, August 18th through the 20th. We're going to be in Georgia for a class August 2nd through the 6th, the 4.5-day class. We have a number of online classes coming up. We have the basic spiritual promises, basic spiritual laws. Those are coming up on our website, and those are all online. And then we're going to be in Miami, September 24th through the 26th.
Okay. So you mentioned you have something coming up. I'm just looking at the air dates of when this is going to air. And if you have something coming up at the beginning of August, is that what you said?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to switch you around. So this will air on July 27th to make sure. So you guys.
Yeah, but that's for people to do that class. They would, we'll be doing that class again in October. But that class takes 30 days of nutritional prep to come to that class. It's a really deep dive class. We have body electronics, which is 4.5-day deep dive. But we're going to be doing it in August, I think 26th through the 30th. Excuse me, October 26th through the 30th. And then it's a Wednesday through Sunday. And that's going to be in Georgia as well. And then we'll be in Miami September 24th through the 26th, leading a class called From How to Wow, which gets you out of the monkey mindset and gets you to produce results very quickly. I have ways you know not of beyond finding out how. You identify the destination, and I provide the steps. So it takes that promise and puts it into an applicable way of doing things. But you just really trust in God and trust in the Holy Spirit to guide you. And you got to take actions really quickly.
Okay, so whenever this airs, you guys just check out the website.
Yep.
At encompasslife.com to check all of these events and all of these courses and workshops and the train the trainer program, and everything is there on the website. And that's how you can get a hold of Mark and the other coaches and book sessions and all of that kind of stuff. So any last thoughts before we sign off on this one and then get to the next one?
No, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate being here. This is fun.
Oh, good. All right. Okay, you guys, don't miss the next segment. If you enjoyed this, do share it out, because this quantum work that Mark and his team and all of the coaches do is so life transforming. You don't want to miss it. So please share this episode out. Help us grow the audience. We appreciate your support over on whichever platform you're watching or listening to the podcast. Until next time, stay spirit-centered. Peace out.
Hey there, SCB peeps. I want to give a huge shout out and deep appreciation and thanks to Candace Benton. She has become a super sponsor for the Spirit Centered Business Show. So I would appreciate you helping me in sending blessings and abundance back to her. Thank you so much, Candace, and you are well loved.
Thank you for listening to Spirit Centered Business with Bralynn Newby. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. The next stage of doing business by being spirit-centered is coming together in collaboration, working with spiritual principles and knowing our destiny. Join our tribe at spiritcenteredbusiness.com, and we'll catch you on the next broadcast. Peace out.